Agents going on. It is a little silly when it was next month. Right. So.
Okay, Miss Wade. If I start, you're ready? Good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to call the April 14th, 2025 meeting of the Dayton Town Council to order at 6:01. And I'd like to remind everybody, there's a sign-up sheet in the entrance for those who are interested in speaking during tonight's public comment portion of tonight's meeting. Ms. Wade, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hensley,
Here.
Ms. Matthias,
Present.
Ms. Tennell,
Present.
Mr. Dijak,
Present.
Mr. Sager,
Here.
Mayor Lee,
Present.
Ms. Estes.
Thank you.
Please join me for invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Lord, we thank you for afternoon to allow us to come together to discuss items for the betterment of our town. We come to you today with being grateful for strength, guidance, courage, and we pray for hope and peace. And we appreciate, we're thankful for what we have today, and we pray for a better tomorrow. As always, we have special prayers for safety for people to keep us safe and protection for people that protect us. And we pray that anyone who's having issues with hunger find a way. And if we have any way to help them, we will. In your name we pray. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's like my daddy. Kids.
Okay, we're going to begin this evening with the proposed FY 25-26 budget presentation by Town Manager Mr. Bourne. Thank you. And we'll turn it over to you, Mr. Bourne.
All right. Thank you, Mayor. Ready to begin?
I like it.
All right. I just have to switch slides, Christine. I'll stay up here so it gets recorded and stuff. Okay. Next slide, please. This is the proposed budget for fiscal year 26. I just want to review for our audience a few of the principles used in developing that budget. We try to use realistic assumptions for revenue and expenditures. These are as realistic as we can project or get cost estimates for. I want to base things on as real numbers as possible. Of course, we want to balance the interest. There's lots of different interests that are reflected in the budget: public safety, staff use facilities, infrastructure, service, sustainment and levels of service. All these things are part of that budget and developing that budget. And of course, the main focus of this budget, as you'll see throughout, is preserving that fund balance. Over the years, there's been reliance on transfers a lot from the water sewer reserves. We'll go through that throughout the budget. Next slide, please. These are just goals and objectives used, and the three highlighted or bolded are the ones that we're really focused on this budget. Of course, achieving a balanced budget is a requirement by the state legislature. And the objective there is to just ensure financial stability out into the future, being able to afford projects and staffing and just different things. And all the service adequate funding for essential services and service provision, maintaining the levels of service our citizens have grown used to, accommodating those in the budget. And then, of course, that fund balance and fund reserves. Major challenges, next slide, please. Of course, the challenge is balancing between revenue and expenditures. That is ensuring that financial responsibility. And maintaining those adequate reserves, that's a challenge. There's a big transfer from reserve and water and sewer into the general fund to subsidize that deficit. Retaining and recruiting talented staff. Retention is a big deal on a lean staff on a small town. It was brought out in the compensation study. You know, this staff has turned over in 7 years, the 17 people that are here on staff. So that's a lot of turnover.
Mhm.
So we want to retain. We have a good staff, talented, tenured people. They know their jobs. They know what we're doing. We want to keep them. It's a lot cheaper to keep than to hire new and training. Addressing just our capital needs. The priority of this budget is existing facilities and staffing, services and programs. There's really nothing new being proposed for the budget. And of course, deferral of projects and capital is a big item that's directly related to the water storage facility. Next slide, please. And this is kind of the whole crux of the presentation. You know, we have investment balances. We want to kind of save money, retain that money, lower that transfer to build those investment balances. As you can see, the numbers, the balances are going low, the transfers get higher. We want to reverse that. Next slide, please. So the impact, over 20 years, you know, costs have escalated more swiftly than revenues with the budget. That's largely due to inflation. In doing some research and playing around with the CPI inflation calculators, that 8 cent today of 20 years ago, that rate, tax rate, now would be the equivalent of 15 cents. The same thing, the dollar back from 2000 is $1.85 in today's dollars. So that's just inflation, rising cost and everything. And labor costs have significantly increased. Part of that is COVID. It's estimated 5% rise annually since 2020 for labor cost. I think everybody in business or any industry realizes that or knows that. Challenges in supply and demand chain stemming from COVID. You're still seeing those prices that have increased. They've gone down some, but they're not going to go back to what they were pre-COVID. That doesn't usually happen. They tend to stay a little higher. And then, of course, addressing ARPA funding. ARPA funding was great after COVID, but a lot of communities used it different ways. Some used it on like Dayton, used it to upgrade that water treatment facility, which was very smart and wise. It required no debt. Following that, next is the water storage facility. So ARPA kind of gave this false sense of some financial security, but there's no more funding like that coming that I know of. And then, of course, staff turnover has impacted stability and consistency through the years. So next slide, please. Just a quick breakdown of the budget. This budget is 7.8 million. Capital budget for general fund and water sewer totals 540,000. Originally, that started at the beginning, it started at 1.1 million, if I'm remembering right. But it's actually at 540, it's 228,000 less than the FY 25 capital budget. So we have a general fund budget of 2.7 and a water and sewer budget of 4.5. And this budget was all based on a 3% adjustment, 3-cent adjustment in the tax rate. So from 8 to 11. The projected revenues from that total $67,300. Next slide, please. And this is an interesting slide. This is these are revenues. Of course, revenues and expenses equal. But looking at revenues, you'll see that you'll have the transfer from reserves, that orangey brown, then you have the water sewer fund, and then the purple transfer. That's all revenue. That reserve, there's money that goes from our reserves into water sewer fund to help with that. Then it's combined with revenues from water sewer to be transferred into the general fund to subsidize the general. So there's a lot of transfer there. And you'll see that we have the different funds are outlined there. The transfer, that purple, represents a $1.6 million transfer into the general fund. Next slide, please. This is just a quick comparison from the FY 25 adopted budget to the FY 26 proposed. You'll see that that $86,654 is the increase from 25 to 26. That represents a 1.12% increase in the budget. I think that's below the anticipated inflation rate, 3%, maybe greater.
Say that again.
What's that?
Say that again.
Below, if you're projecting, we use 3% for inflation. That's below that. 1.12% is below that.
Okay.
I think that's reasonable. It reflects the increased revenue of that 67,300. You see some changes in interest and miscellaneous. We did really well in 25. That's why those figures have jumped some. But overall, the budget kind of stayed pretty flat with respect to revenues, and that's as well reflected in expenses. Next slide, please. This again is quite interesting. You'll see the water sewer capital, the transfer, water sewer operations, and then general fund capital. That kind of all represents some of that transfer things. So a large portion of the revenue comes from water sewer reserves and roads. Next slide, please. And as reflected in the revenues, same thing in expenses. It's a balanced budget, so you have a 1.12 reflecting that $86,654 increase in the budget. Also reflecting the new revenue of 67,300 with the 3-cent adjustment to the tax rate. And everything staying relatively flat as far as expenses. Next slide, please. So this is, sure. I'd be advancing and going back. Worse than that. You're fine. Thank you, Christine. The interesting thing here is that median household income, if you look at the bottom note there. In 2020, Dayton's median household income was $36,576,000. In 2020, the census data, it was 68,333. And then in the 22 census data, it's now 81,346. Now that's a reflection of those labor costs. I mean, it all ties, so it's reflected here. And I'm going from census data. The average home value in Dayton, I'm basing this projection on the right at that average home value of $336,000. So at $336,000, the current rate would be an annual tax rate of $269.43 or $22.45 a month if it's built into your mortgage. Adjusting it up to the 11 cent would increase that to $370.47, or a monthly of $30.87, which is a difference, actual increase of $8.42 on the basis. Next slide, please. So here we have the projections that we used. We've projected total property values in Dayton to have a slight increase to $212 million. Of course, the revenue is projected at the new rate of $233,800, and at the new rate, 1 cent of tax would bring in $21,254.54. So that's 1 cent based on the previous at 8 cents. That's a $442 increase for each cent of tax. So $1 million property, that $1 million would have to be assessed value at the new rate would bring in $1,100. In order to, so we need $1 million to bring in that 1,100. We need $20 million of new property value to realize $22,000 of new revenue. So next slide, please. The townwide initiatives, we have a merit. These are all included and built into the budget. There's a merit of 3% up to 3%. It's a sliding scale. Not everyone earns the 3%. There's a COLA for cost of living at 3%. And then on top of both of those is the career development plan with one officer at 2.5%, four at 5%. We continue to pay employee health dental. The Christmas bonus is maintained within the budget. And we've maintained funding levels in career development for employees to advance, keep abreast in their respective careers or fields. Next slide, please. General fund. So we have a total general fund budget of 2.7 million. 1.6 million of that, 1.116, $1,116,582 is projected from revenues. To balance that, there's that $1.6 million transfer. That's the deficit. Next slide, please. So just some highlights of the different departments. Um, Administration. And this administration is not just the administrative, it covers, it touches every department in the city. There's things every department has in this budget to some extent. But as you can see, it's an $865,570 budget. There were the merit and COLA, of course, we reflected legal services, advertising has increased. We're now required by the state legislature to legislature to advertise twice in some areas for public hearings. That legal advertising is not cheap. We try to keep that down as much as possible. And of course, insurance is increased, as everyone realizes at the personal level. There was really nothing delayed or excluded, and there's really no capital in administration at this time. There were some HVAC units being proposed, but those we were able to fund this fiscal year.
Mhm.
The HVAC units at Town Hall are when the Town Hall was built, so they are at or approaching their lifespan. All 8 have needed to be replaced, 3, but the other 5 need to be replaced also. So we're taking care of that this fiscal year, and that's all to reduce that transfer, keep that money. Next slide, please. Public safety. $888,009 departmental budget. This reflects the COLA, the merit, and the CDP. A few highlights: overtime, 50,000, insurance, 33,000, and uniforms are in that budget. There was really nothing excluded. The needs were met. That goes for all departments. And then capital, there were 2 capital items. Capital was scrutinized greatly. Mostly the imperative and essential were addressed and funded. We are on a 2-year replacement cycle for vehicle. We have 1 vehicle left to replace. And we have the mobile data transfer terminals, mobile data terminals within the cars, the laptops. Those are due for replacement. They've approached their technology short-lived lifespan. That's all technology does. The chief has pursued, and we're hoping to get some grant assistance from the burn jag equipment grant to offset those costs. Or I hope that we've predicted enough inflation on those, projected that to meet. You're not surprised with the extreme hike in neither of those items, but hopefully the grant will help offset some of that if we do get it for those MDT. Next slide, please. Public Works, we've had a decrease reflected in this budget. That's probably, that is due to a few people, as I mentioned earlier, that will be training and moving into some of the water aspect. They're doing that career development. We do have a vacant position in that department currently that is still there, but that vacant position is not funded in this budget. So that reflects some of that. The COLA and the merit, of course, we have equipment maintenance, which is vital to that department to do their everyday work. Provide the services, contracted services at 22,000. Solid waste collections, there's always there's an increase built into that contract that is reflected in the budgets. And then insurance, we have 210,000 capital items that are being replaced, and those are, I think, if I'm remembering, a couple of, one bigger dump truck and a smaller one. Those are essential in and all of the operations and snow plowing, different things like that. I think one is from 2005. So I think we got our money's worth. And then some maybe. But nothing was really delayed and excluded. Their needs were met. Next slide, please. Parks and Rec, we have a $153,442 budget. There was a decrease there. Some of that was shifting duties, reassigning things within staff and stuff, making some savings there. Contracted services, of course, those costs are reflective of increase passed on to us. Insurance, likewise, materials and supplies, of course, that's inflationary and things like that. We did not add any capital. There's some carry forward funding that will be used for projects in Parks and Rec. There's nothing new being proposed. So we will carry forward with the funding and implement different projects and things that way. Community and economic development, 247,963. Of course, the COLA merit, there's career development that had a slight increase there. We have, that's for some training for the new hire that was made for career development, that position that may be vacated. And of course, the downtown development incentive grant. This is something that was discussed in the EDA and brought forward in the budget for consideration. That is kind of came about after the fire, but it goes beyond. It's to help bigger projects for downtown, those that might require a little more extensive work or for infill. So that grant is being proposed for funding at $50,000. Nothing really delayed and no additional capital. It's all carry forward funding. Water and sewer. Next slide. Thank you. We have revenue of 4.5 billion. You can see that that's projected revenues of 3.9 with the reserve transfer into that fund to bring it up to where it needs to be. We do have some revenues that are down due to unrealized connection fees. There were a couple of projects that were slated to come to be, but they did not. So when they come about, so we decreased that revenue line a bit for 26 for the budget. Next slide, please. So we have operations at 2.9. Of course, there's the COLA merit. We have overtime at 14,000, insurance at 15,400, and we are members of the Harrisonburg Rockingham Regional Sewer Authority. Of course, there's operations and maintenance, there's capital projects. We participate in all of those. Our participation is to the tune of $2.07 billion in that. And I can attest that that is a lot cheaper than having your own sewer treatment facility. No delayed, excluded. Capital, we have a water storage facility. This is to continue moving forward with that, adding more money in that line up to 110,000. Well and high service pump replacement, 70,000. Cargo meter replacement. The meter is aging out. We want accurate readings. Since that is a large source of revenue, that will be a replacement cost of 13,000. And of course, continuing with infrastructure improvement, manhole rehabilitation. All of these are critical considering the significant impact water revenue has on state budget. Next slide, please. this is just a little insight from for the importance of the water storage facility. Cargill did close their Springdale, Arkansas facility. It's closing as of August 1st. It will have an impact on Dayton, a positive impact, of course, in their reduction. Meaning they'll be adding about 30% usage there of water. But it was a 60-year-old facility at 1,100 employees that is being closed. So they currently use 2.3 to 2.5 million gallons a day. So our capacity is at 3.06, which puts us a little risky, dicey. So our current storage in the tower is 250,000 gallons. The new water storage facility would add 2.5 million gallons. The only comment we received from the Virginia Department of Health inspections is that we tend to lack storage. So likelihood, we have the ability to purchase water from the county in our agreement, which will, if need be, will be used to supplement the need. Also, last resort, I know it's been used in the past, there are water restrictions. A lot of the western states are familiar with that, but us in the south and east, where there's an abundance of water, aren't so familiar and don't like them. And I don't think the West likes them either, but sometimes that's the reality. So what's being proposed right there, that 1 million of reserves, I want to allocate that specific cash for that water storage facility. So within the reserves, you need to maintain a certain amount of money for your general fund. By statute, you're required to keep a certain amount to fund in case emergencies, something goes wrong. On top of that requirement, I want to dedicate $1 million for that storage facility so that is anticipated and projected to be the project in the capital improvement plan for FY27. That is estimated at a $5 million project.
Currently.
We hope it stays that way. We've been told there's there's built in to accommodate some increase. I hope we have enough. But that is just cash on hand that we don't have to fund the debt allocating. Next slide, please. So the proposed rate changes, as I've highlighted throughout the budget, there's a 3% adjustment in the ad valorem tax rate from 8 to 11 cents per hundred. This budget was based on a $3 base rate increase for water sewer rates and the 3% annual increase that was implemented by council several years ago. Annually, we'd increase 3% to account for inflation, other things, which hopefully we achieve 3%, but I'm not gonna count on. Increase from $22 to $23.50 for trash collection, and a 1% increase in the meals tax from 5 to 6%. So this is the proposed budget. We've been discussing different items and aspects of this throughout the year. Beginning in October was when we started. The next step would be tonight's the public hearing. So the next step at the May 12th meeting would be to consider improve the budget, the fee schedule, and the capital improvement plan. That concludes my presentation.
Everybody catch all of that? Everybody, everybody. Up. Thank you very much, Mr. Bourne. Okay, at 6:36, we'll open the public hearing to hear public comments on the proposed FY 25-26 budget and like Mr. Bourne said, bless you. And like Mr. Bourne said, it'll be just considered at the FY 26 budget at the May 12th meeting. So just as a reminder, speakers are asked to speak to council, directly to council, stating their name and address. And I have a couple signed up. Mr. Daly, Jeff Daly.
Mr. Mayor, if I might just.
Yes, sir.
interject for clarity, this is also a public hearing on the tax rates and fees and additional budget. Just wanna make that
Yes, sir.
clear.
Okay. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jeff Daly. I live at 102 Bartley Street. For some of you that don't know me, I served on council for 8 years as the chairman of the finance committee. I caught a summary in my newsletter of the budget, and I wanted to speak at the public hearing today. We're presenting a budget that has a $1 million deficit, which also includes salary increases. In my opinion, the council needs to consider freezing any hiring for vacant positions and also to not include any salary increases this year. This is something that's been done in the past during other tough economic times. It allows the council the time it needs to review staffing requirements and gain control of the ever increasing payroll for the town of Dayton. In my experience, number one priority for the town council is to make sure the public works has what they need for the water plant to operate and maintain. The rest of the departments are in services or just luxuries paid by that water and sewer fund. I have obtained a 24-25 budgeted salaries from a FOIA request in February and April. The salaries reported on the February document differ from the salaries reported on the April document prepared by the town. So I guess my question would be, which are any of those numbers correct that match with the actual payroll numbers? And now we're also looking to increase salaries by another 58,000 in 2025. And I also was not able to find any council approval to change salaries for the current budget year 24-25. In 2019, I was the one that helped authorize or helped author those finance policies for the town of Dayton and guidelines you're following now, which establishes a minimum of 4% of the budgeted water and sewer revenues as cash reserves. The total unassigned fund balances in the general and water and sewer funds at the end of each fiscal year should equal $2.4 million or 6 months of the general fund operating expenses and funding to meet the annual HRRSA obligations to the town, whichever one's greater. This is to protect the town in the event of some natural disaster or interruption in Cargill services. We are a town of 1,700 people and we occupy about 1 square mile. With proper management and engagement and engaged oversight of the council, we should be able to have a balanced or a surplus budget each year that complies with that 2019 policy, unless there's some significant water plant capital expenditure. And we can't be compared with Harrisonburg and Bridgewater, Rockingham County. All these localities are much larger than us. They have greater responsibilities. So in this small town, some of these employees need to wear multiple hats. We need to stop segregating all these duties just to make up new job descriptions. Sam, we were on council together. We fought through some of these issues in the past. Kind of disappointed to see we're kind of going in that same directions with the appropriation of funds. Bradford, I wasn't on the council with you for very long, but you're elected here to be a steward of the town and its finances. We need to be on the right side of this fix. This town doesn't exist just to provide people jobs. Jobs exist to service the town's needs. There's a difference there. Let's keep on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Disley. Lisa, Ms. Halterman. Hi.
I'm Lisa Halterman. I live at 325 Ashby Street. And like Jeff, I also was on town council years ago. Not 8 years, I couldn't take that. Kind of quite enough taking. And I'm also here because of the budget. One thing, mine's not quite like his, but that one of the things that I read was the area of focus in the proposed budget. It was replacement of sidewalks and water and sewer lines was something that was mentioned. I didn't really see it in the act brought up. But I wanted to know if this included any of the water and sewer lines on Ashby Street. Do you know particularly if anything's going to be done on Ashby Street?
I have,
I mean, I figured you might need to get back with me on some of this,
Yeah,
but does it include installing any new sidewalks anywhere? Or is it just replacing sidewalks? And the reason I'm asking this, back at around 2010, there were grants that were obtained and easements obtained from residents on Ashby Street to install sidewalks and to update water and sewer lines on Ashby Street. Work was never done. And I'm just wondering if what happened to the grants, were they spent elsewhere? Did we return them? You know, what happened? And because we don't have sidewalks, our water and sewer hasn't been updated. Around 2010, we're talking about 15 years ago.
2010.
So I'm just wondering, you know, are we going to get sidewalks? And the reason I'm asking is a safety hazard. Ashby Street is a main thoroughfare for school buses and parents taking their children to and from school. I live there. I watch it every day. And it's supposed to be 25 miles an hour. Well, it's not 25 miles an hour. And I see children walking through the wet grass, through the snow, and homeowners that walk their dogs that are not as conscientious as some do not pick up after their little puppies as they walk either. So kids can step, you know, they step in the wet grass, they step in the snow, but they also step in dog food, let's be honest. When they have to get off the road because a car or a school bus is coming. So, you know, it is just a safety hazard in general. Plus, it's just not nice. I mean, to have to be walking up through there with all that going on. So it's something that I've put up with for almost 38 years. So, you know, just watching it. And also, the level of the street keeps increasing because of repaving the roads. Where we live, as the street increases, the water runs off of it into our yard because our yard is not increasing any. And the drainage is not that good because none of the drainage issues has been taken care of. So it comes down our driveway into our garage or our backyard and we have a flood. So it's just little things like that. So that's why I'm wondering, are we going to get the updates to any of our drainage problems down there with the water, sewer and sidewalks? Are we going to get any of that? Like 2010, it was proposed at the time. So I'm just wondering, is that in this year's budget at all? If somebody could get back with me, I sure would appreciate that. So that was the one thing. But then as I was watching the slides, there was a with the Cargill upgrades for the water and so forth. I was just wondering, is there a commercial rate or are they on a different rate structure than the residents when it comes to what they pay for their water and sewer?
it's the same.
It's the same. I mean, they use these huge amounts
Yeah,
of
it's the
water
same.
and they
We-
pay the same thing as us that use very little water.
It's the same. It's per guy.
Okay, so do they have a special meter that it's like a,
Same meter. I mean, water meters are water meters.
okay, because I worked for the electric company for almost 30 years and the commercial rate was different than a
Right.
residential rate. You know, they pay a little bit more because of the way that they use. So they use so much more than anybody else. So, you know, you think about it. I just wondered if, you know, it's not, think about it's kind of not fair. And then we're going to be paying for an upgrade to a plant to cover the cost of somebody else using all the water. You think about it, it's not fair to the rest of us. I don't know how, how y'all, sorry, I have to address you. I don't know. I don't like it. That's me personally, but, and then the other thing I saw was the town still pays 100% of the employees' insurance. That is almost unheard of. Okay. And then public safety on the vehicles, a 2-year replacement. Under vehicles, how many miles are on the vehicles when they turn them in? It couldn't be very many. Jeff said we have a 1 square mile radius of the town.
It's a 2-year replacement schedule, so every 2 years.
Mhm.
It's replaced.
Right, but
Doesn't mean it's only in use for 2 years.
Okay, so the vehicle is not
So
replaced
we
after
have
it's used for
6
2
of them.
years.
No, we have
Mhm.
6 of them, so every 2 years, we're looking at replacing one
The-
of those.
the
vehicles.
oldest.
So the vehicle isn't used only 2 years.
No.
Okay,
No,
all right, because that kind of blew my mind, because that wouldn't put very
That-
many
that-
miles on a vehicle if it's only used for 2 years in a 1 square mile
No,
radius
no, ma'am.
and patrolled. Okay, so that was my other thing. I just wanted to know, couldn't have been very many miles on them. We got rid of it. And I just thought maybe that would be a better use of mileage.
Sure.
Okay. But that was all. So, but if somebody could get back with me on the Ashby Street thing, that would be greatly appreciated, because there are areas around here that could use installing sidewalks and upgrading sewer and water before we replace anything else around here.
And
And I
I'm
don't
sorry.
think I'd be
Say
the
your
only
address
one.
again. I'm sorry.
Excuse me,
Did you say your address was 325?
325.
Okay. I just want to
Alright.
make sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I hope y'all are.
But make sure you get your answer though.
I don't have anybody else, signed up.
So I did note that there were several other names on the generalized public comment sheet, and you might want to check and make sure nobody signed up on the wrong sheet.
Okay.
In other words, if there's somebody else out there.
Is it, yeah, is there anybody else that was signed up on the public hearing? I know we have the general comment. It's coming up in a few minutes. No, nothing else on the public hearing? Okay. We will conclude the public hearing at 6:47. Thank you very much. Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Need a motion to approve the minutes from the work session and the regular town council meeting of March 10th, 2025, and for the February 27th, 2025 joint meeting with the planning commission as presented.
So moved.
Mr. Hensley.
Second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Dijak? Any discussion? Ms. Wade, can I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Mr. Sager,
Hey.
Mr. Hensley,
All right.
Ms. Estes. I couldn't hear you.
Aye.
Thank you. Ms. Matthias,
Aye.
Mr. Dijak,
Aye.
Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Pennell.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. Thank you very much. The only action item, we're moving on to the action items. The only action item we have this evening is a consideration of appointment actions for Gary Corder, the new Community and Economic Development Director. I need a motion to appoint Gary Corder as the zoning administrator and subdivision agent for the town of Dayton.
So moved.
Second.
Do I
No.
do each one of them separately or all of them together? I'm gonna do all of them together.
Okay.
I'm gonna do all of them together. So I'm sorry.
Yes.
So all of them together, is that okay? Zoning administrator and subdivision agent for the town of Dayton, primary representative on Harrisonburg Rockingham Metropolitan Planning Organizational Technical Advisory Committee. I can't hardly say that twice. As alternate on the Harrisonburg Rockingham Metropolitan Planning Organization Policy Board, HRMPO. Now, that's all of
All right. So moved.
them. Mr. Hensley. And Ms. Pennell second. Any discussions? Roll call, please.
I don't know about y'all, but I know me and Ralph and JP have no idea, no offense to you, but like, it's something going on behind our backs when I have to check my notes, and find out, like, I called him, asked him how much he was getting paid, because I found out from a resident he was hired.
Mhm.
I asked them 2 months ago and last month, and I emailed you all, no response. We wanted to know how much they were being paid because he had tried to find out. Nobody would tell him. I don't even know what you're being paid. Whatever the personnel committee does, still has to come back to us,
Mhm.
discuss salaries. Well, let me tell you something, we got an email that said that you all and the finance committee made these decisions.
Mhm.
No,
Not about hiring. That's-
not about hiring.
No.
Not
Yeah.
hiring and firing and what's the other word? Supervising is his job.
Mhm.
But the salary decisions apparently were made by y'all, and y'all never bothered to come back and tell us, so we don't have any idea.
We've never made.
Then who came up with the salaries? Cause I've been asking for 3 months. Because I got an email, it's right here, that states that y'all did the salaries and stuff and everything.
I thought that was the compensation.
That was
study.
compensation.
It is.
That
And
was
we
the
didn't pass that
compensation
either.
study. Yes,
Yes.
that was
So the co-
voted and
Anyway,
voted the
yeah.
compensation study.
The financial part wasn't, it's on video report. But I'm just saying, I don't know what you're being paid. I don't know anything about it. And it's, you know, this has been going on for years where decisions are being made
Yeah, but-
without informing us. I've emailed y'all, asked you what he was being paid. I even called you and asked you what he was being paid. You said you was on the finance, I said, you're on the finance committee and you don't know. I called you the day I found out that somebody was hired. And I asked you, who put out the ad for $166 to $108,000, who okayed that? And I heard we got somebody hired, how much were we paying them? You said you.
The
didn't
only,
know.
the only information I have is that we
It was
hired
out of the
somebody.
salary
Well,
between you.
Respectfully, I would say that the motion on the table, though, this is about an appointment to positions that are
To
already
have a
within the
that I
job
don't
description.
know
but
anything
these-
about,
The-
But these are
because
positions that are statutorily require an appointment. There's no there's no compensation related to these. These are part of job duties.
Which is all
I
that,
I would respectfully,
which
I would
is
just-
all that I knew.
yes,
Yeah.
I would respectfully call the question then so we can appoint Mr. Porter to the positions since there's a motion and a second on the table.
And I make, before we do that, I make the recommendation that if there's any discussion about salaries or hiring, we can do it in the closed session.
Absolutely.
Okay. Any more discussion on that?
Just excited to have Mr. Porter aboard.
So, was Mr. Hensel, you
Yeah.
second?
No, Ms. Bennell seconded. I just
No,
called
Ms. Bennell, Ms. Bennell, I'm sorry.
the question
Ms.
on the
Bennell
table was to appoint. I
Ms.
just
Wade,
called
did you
the
get-
question.
Ms. Wade, did you get that?
I did. Mr.
Okay.
Hensley motioned and Ms. Bennell second.
Okay. And thank you for
if
your,
you want to know the salary has everything to do with this.
Mr. Dijak has called the question, and so I think we're looking for a roll call vote.
yes.
Thank you.
So roll call vote, Ms. Wade?
Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Bennell,
Aye.
Ms. Estes. Mr. Sager,
Let me clarify what, before I say A or nay, clarify, we're agreeing to Josh to be his position, but just like Evelyn said about the salary, we have no clue. Are we just giving him the position and then we will decide the salary in closed section, correct?
These-
No.
No, no.
No,
this is-
Salary, that's
no,
the
no.
problem.
And that's what I'm confused
But
about.
nobody claims
These are-
giving it to them.
The salaries are part of the pay grades that are established. That was part of the compensation study.
Yes.
Those were all reviewed and upgraded and adjustments were made. Most of our positions, even with the adjustment of the pay grades, fell within the position of community economic development coordinator was short, so we hire based on experience and we
Mhm.
hire within the salary range as prescribed
Mhm.
in the policy, personnel policy. That is how it works. We can.
it's not my
adjust
personnel
that.
policy. I'm trying to listen.
Hang
Could
on a
you
second.
start that again? I cannot hear.
Well,
Well, I wanna know-
we make a determination, there's a range for
Right.
all positions. Based on their experience, we could
Mhm.
bring them in at the very bottom, or we like to kind of bring them in towards the middle. Based on experience, that's the leeway you have with the range. You never bring in someone at the top, there's no way for advance. This was all done as it's done everywhere else. That's kind of administrative managerial stuff.
Yes.
It's all within the range. There's nothing that was done out of range or out of line.
And just to
So-
clarify, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I just to clarify, Mr. Bourne or Mr. Bowman, just the positions though here are they are statutory positions that exist. Someone in the town is required to be our zoning administrator, subdivision agent,
Yes.
and represented on the task force. These have no compensation attached. They are simply.
Their responsibilities as
Correct.
part of that job.
Right,
Yes.
so this
They
is
serve
simply
on
appointing
the
someone.
This,
HRP,
you,
the
you,
TAC
you,
committee.
did that answer your question, JD?
I think so.
Okay.
Because currently, and just for clarification for the audience's perspective, when we used to, the previous economic development, community development coordinator held several of these positions. And then when they left, those were absorbed temporarily on an interim basis by Mr. Bourne. Correct.
Correct.
So
And-
there you go. So we're just simply reallocating those to
So-
the position they were originally intended to be,
Yes.
which is not uncommon for most small towns.
Am I also understanding when we had the compensation study, it was brought to the full council. Those pay grade, that whole chart was given to us.
Yes.
And
Job
we
description.
voted on approving what the recommendations were from the
That's- that-
compensation
that's-
study.
right.
And that whole chart was given to us at that meeting, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken from my
It's,
memory.
yep.
So it should be in the minutes, it should be in the recording, it should be in the packets from that month. Am I remembering that correctly? Everything for that range was approved by the full council. Look at the video, look at the packets, it's all on there. Is that when they came and we?
Regardless, yeah, we're,
I can speak now
Yeah.
because actually on that day. The minutes don't match the meeting. What is on recording, mind you, the video is in audio and video and not put on properly. So you have to watch the video, finish and listen to it another.
I would-
50 going in, do not interrupt me, sir.
we have a vote.
Well, I can wait. Because
The
we
voting.
voted it up and it
This
was
is
not voted through.
I'm just
The
asking
title-
and
I'm
everybody said
talking to
yes.
him Because the titles were passed, but not the financial bits where we okayed the raises. You concurred with it, you concurred with it. So the minutes don't match the meeting, I promise you.
I might suggest that the question has been called and we're in the middle of the vote.
Yeah.
We can certainly continue any discussion.
Well, when
Closed session.
people bring up
Yes.
stuff, I'm gonna counter it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So-
I still don't know what the kid's getting paid.
So,
I've been waiting 3 months for that answer.
so Mr. Slater, your vote.
Hey,
Did you get that, Ms. White?
hey, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Dijak,
Aye.
Mr. Hensley,
All right.
Ms. Mathias. Aye. Thank you.
Mr. Corder, that's the longest welcome, that you'll ever get. Welcome aboard. We're glad to have you. Glad to have you. Next, we have, public comments. We'll now hear from, any in-person citizens who signed up for public comment portion of tonight's meeting. Each speaker will be limited to 5 minutes. And the time may not be shared with other speakers. I encourage comments to be respectful as we all work together for the betterment of Dayton. This should be an opportunity to find common ground and to seek solutions. I'll remind council that this is an opportunity for public comment. We are not to engage in discussion during the comment period. And I have a couple people signed up for a public comment, starting with Mr. Shank.
You can.
That's good. All right.
My name's Fred Shank Junior. I live at 303 Bartley Street here in Dayton,
Yes, sir.
just newly moved here. And my comment is concerning the conceptual plan of the downtown master plan. I am a firm believer in transparency and I do respect that a good bit. And I guess the first thing I want to say is I know most everybody here has gotten a copy of the master plan and the overall, and I understand it's conceptual. I get that. My big concern is, at what point is it not going to be conceptual and it starts going into motion and starts getting into reality? I haven't seen any separation between the two up to this point. And that's what scares me as much as anything. I would like to bring that to attention. It also seems like this plan is specifically targeting my father, Fred Shank Senior. Of course, you all know he has two businesses on the downtown master plan, the Dayton Farmers Market and Silver Lake Welding. And they're both negatively affected by this plan. I don't see, well, first of all, Silver Lake Welding obviously would be not in Dayton anymore, which is pretty self-explanatory why that's not a good thing. But it seems like this plan is trying to hamstring one specific person. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it looks that way from the outside looking in. One thing also I want to mention, a third thing I want to mention is I am disappointed that the ponds committee, or whoever this committee was, would decide to annex and overtake a business that's been established for over 50 years. Silver Lake Welding has been over here for 50, going on 51 years. I've seen my dad miss plenty of baseball games because of that business. He's put his heart and soul into it. And I'm just really disappointed that that's even considered to overtake, whether you want to call it eminent domain, whatever you want to call it, to take over property boundary by municipality and wipe out 35 jobs in the meantime, or at least tell them to go find another place. My question is, what if that was Broadway down here on Main Street, or what if that was Silver Lake Middle? You know, what would that be, or what would the feedback be if that was Silver Lake Mill or Broadway or someplace like that? It probably wouldn't be a good look, and I want to bring that to attention. The fourth thing I'd like to spell out is, again, I'm on the outside looking in. I wasn't sure what was part of this plan, but it seems like it's a self-interest group for certain people. The vibe of the plan, when I looked at it, it looked like in its entirety, it seems to be focused on bringing visitors, patrons, community, and anyone else to the Silver Lake Mill at any cost and by any means, whether it be VDOT, eminent domain, and in my personal opinion, again, I'm not saying that's what the goal was, but on the outside looking in, that's what it looked like. And I want to bring that to attention to the council tonight. It just seems like a good example of either socialism or communism, in my opinion. Again, I'm on the outside looking in on this. Fifth thing I would like to bring up to the town council is I work at Silver Lake Welding, and throughout this whole process by the committee, the ponds committee, town council, I was approached by one person and asked their opinion on it, and it was Miss Estes. She was the only one who came up and asked my opinion on it, my personal opinion. I have a copy of it. I got it secondhand, actually, and that's how I even found out about it. And I am disappointed that you would think that even if it's a draft or a conceptual plan, you'd get input from someone who is directly involved with that. That's my career. And the way I see it, it looks like it might be going away. And I want you to consider that tonight. Okay? That hits home. The last thing I do ask for everyone here is to do the right thing. I'm asking you to please disregard this, vote no for it. There's 35 jobs up the road that I know I've got 35 supporters with. It's part of my career. It's been part of my life. And I just ask you all to vote this down as soon as possible. Please. I ask each one of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shea. Next we have Ms. Hannon, Kelly Hannon.
Hi, I'm Kelly Hannon at 305 College Street. For those of you who clearly don't know, this past summer, I had the privilege of moving my business into downtown Dayton, into the office building that my father practiced dentistry in for 47 years. I know that some of you are not aware. You would think that as a new downtown business, someone might talk to me. Someone might say more than anything, how are you doing? Do you need anything? Welcome to Dayton. Take notice that you have a new downtown business. There's a lot of talk on council all the time about bringing businesses downtown. I did, nothing was said. That's disappointing. As the owner of 2 out of the 4 corners of College and Mill Street, I too have concerns about the pond plan. There's a lot focused on that intersection also, including if you look at the project or the proposed priorities in there, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9, and 11, and probably 13 of those are directly related to my property. No one has ever spoken to me. Not from the pond group. The 21 years that I have lived at 305, there have been multiple studies done, proposals, plans, multiple. No one has ever asked my opinion. No one has ever come and talked to me. I would think, just like Fred Shank's property, that if you're looking to change things, you might want to hear from the people who are directly impacted, and no one has ever asked. I watch as you hire more people for things that I don't see much happening with. An economic development person. We've struggled with economic development people for the last 21 years. And I'm not sure you guys can show me what you've paid. I hope that in a year from now, you can see what, or you can bring to us what in a year this $70,000 employee brings to the table to benefit our community. And lastly, if you are going to make changes downtown and replace sidewalks, you might want to take a look at the sidewalks surrounding my property that were replaced less than 3.5 years ago, who are completely disintegrating. At least please don't hire the same people and use the same product, which by the way, is way too modern for our historic district of downtown. Perhaps we could think about brick sidewalks or something else, but those sidewalks are now in your sewer system and continuing to be dated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Next we have Miss Lyon, Cheryl Lyon.
That my goal is to further fund the business. It's not, my goal has not been to enhance Silver Lake Mill. I am very pleased that Virginia Quilt Museum moved to Silver Lake Mill. It's a huge draw to the community, and there has been an effort for the 25 years that I've been in the community to bring the right kind of people to Dayton Market and to Silver Lake Mill. And the idea of those folks going from one end of town to the other. My involvement certainly, I was on the committee. My involvement was no greater than anybody else's. The committee had a representative from the Dayton Market, owned by Mr. Shank, as part of the vision committee. I've spent my professional life built around the idea, it's I think in the book of Proverbs, that without vision, the people perish. And everything that I have done professionally, whether it was in metal fabrication, manufacturing, whether it was in marketing for home goods and high-end product lines from the Eastern United States, or in my own business that was in Silver Lake Mill for a number of years.
my goal has always been to be visionary in whatever's done. And one of the things that I appreciated about this plan is the sense of viewing it as an idea book. We've been in ruts in this town for the 25 years that I've been. And whatever you think of what ended up on paper, there are parts of that plan that show very innovative thinking and helping all of us to think outside the box. Are they all going to happen? No, they're not going to happen. Something like this in every community is just an idea book. And as things change in the community and new developments, new people, new technologies become available, you begin to evaluate some of the ideas against those things. In the case of, you know, if it's misunderstood that I didn't tell the parents about this, I didn't tell the people who are in the nearest parking lot. I don't know my own parking lot. But I don't see it as a threat in this plan that shows up as part of everything showing on the map where Silver Lake Welding is located today. It's just not that kind of a reality. It's a thoughtful piece of work. And so I just don't, I think I don't know, I think we're just taking it a little bit too specifically when we start criticizing the details. Certainly it has not been my reason for being involved in Silver Lake Mill or to grade in the neighbor. That's just not me, that's not me. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lyon.
One of the
Thank you.
issues we're having is I've asked for 3 months for us to go through and break down each section of it. And where there are sections that you don't have permission from the property owners, it needs to be removed. The Main Street issue, shutting down Main Street, the roundabouts, that needs to be removed. But there are some amazing parts to this plan. Those just don't happen to be there. So until we meet,
Thank-
I want it tabled. Again, I've tabled it 3 times. This will be the 3rd time because y'all can't get together and meet with people. And we need to actually have a meeting and discuss these things and make changes. I've brought up twice now. JD met a lady that will help us do plans. It's what she does. for a
We
living.
got 2 more,
For free.
we got 2 more speakers and then we're actually gonna talk about that just a little bit. Dana, say your last name. Finner, okay. Miss Finner, Sunset Drive.
My name is Dana Fenner. I'm at 160 Sunset Drive, right across from the beautiful,
Yes.
very nice and
With the
purple.
new sign.
And I love the new sign. Yes,
Yeah,
I know.
yeah.
But I'm here today as a representative of Be Friends of Dayton, which is a committee of concerned citizens that have organized together to help promote pollination and pollinators in Dayton. And we want to announce that on June 5th, we are having a talk at Silver Lake Mill, 7 o'clock. And the talk is of course about pollinators, but it will be, a presenter will be Anna Marie Johnson. And I want to read a little bit about her credentials. She is the current president of a local Shenandoah chapter of Virginia Native Plant Society. She's also a trained member of Headwaters Master Naturalist Chapter. She writes and presents about native plants and their important role as habitat and food sources for pollinators and other wildlife. She coordinated the writing and publishing of the book, Plant Ridge and Valley Natives, a Guide for Gardeners, and it's now in its 2nd edition. And she will share at this talk some of the plants that best support native bees in Shenandoah Valley and how you can grow them in home. So she's a heavyweight, and we're really proud to have her coming and giving this lecture. After the lecture, members of the Bee Friends will be giving a little presentation about the different pollinator gardens that we have established by each of the 4 interpretive signs that are around Silver Lake. So we can talk about what's there, and how that's gonna help the community, and the interpretive signs are beautiful. So thank you for, for Jennifer, for her crew for putting them in, just you. That's it.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Fenner. And we have one more, Ms. Crank, Deb Crank.
Good evening. My name is Deb Crank and I live at 363 College Street, and I was not speaking tonight until we had some conversations. And I wrote down before Fred Jr. came up, transparency. I think this is why sometimes we find ourselves in pickles. And please, Gary, just close your ears for a few moments, because it has nothing to do with you. I have not met you yet, but we will meet at another time. So public things are publicly put out there, jobs, folks, and it's still public out there. And a pay scale comes up, $68,007. That probably didn't seem like so bad until the max of the scale, $108,273. While we're not going to hire anybody at the max, I would hope, it raised concerns from many people. And then you go back and you try to connect minutes to videos and when people reach out to council members, because it's not transparent upon yourself. And Sam, I believe you said at one of the first meetings you wanted to work together. And we trust you all to work together, keep secrets, keep salaries private, because that is, but it eventually does get to the state. All salaries for y'all are on the state website, neither here nor there. But we'd like to trust that if, especially the mayor, does have knowledge of everything that goes on. And no matter if I reach out to you or another council member, that you're not caught off guard. So I think even amongst yourself, there needs to be transparency. So that's what I had to say about that. Talking about, and I was a member of the pond also. So we went through the process. At one point, one of the pond exec people said, "You're so lucky to have a pharmacy." I'm looking around going, I don't know of a pharmacy in Dayton. They were talking, stop it. You're like Rusty. He says, unless something illegal is going on at that retail place. But we don't have a pharmacy. Just Saturday, talking to Jack at the Thomas house. No, and I already knew, but we were talking about it again. I had told him it was tabled, but then it came up on the agenda. But I said, I did speak that nobody talked at the Thomas house. And so again, I don't know if Pond skimmed the surface, but they also put in it about we needed archery. So I wrote them. And there were other people in the town. One of them's no longer here. I carboned her and I carboned Lauren Resnick. Tell me there's not a place next door that sells archery and does archery exhibits. Tell me there's not a place next door. They missed that. The other thing they missed, and I hate to be nitpicking, but I think that I go along with what Cheryl said. It was an idea book, but sometimes there are ideas, I don't know where they got them. The other one they said it was about art classes. Tell me there's not somewhere real close to here and at the market that does art classes. Pretty sure Brathwaite's does. Stop it, Ralph. Stop it. So I think when you go back and discuss it, Emily is on the right path. And I probably beat up Ralph a little bit about it. But my topper was when it was presented at the very first town council meeting, the last slide was the Dayton market, and none of us had seen it. None of us. Unless you didn't see it because you weren't mayor yet. You looked at me and said, where did that one come from? Am I saying it right? So I don't know how that all came together, but I will tell you, it struck a chord when Dayton Market was part of it and Silver Lake Welding. And you're talking about doing major changes before you talk to people. So I don't want to beat that anymore, but I think, Emily, you're on the right path. I think you take bits and pieces out of it that we all voted on. I still have the vote somewhere in my notebook of what was a priority. Sam, you were there. Bradford, you were there. Ralph and I were there. Chief was there. And probably Cheryl was there when we all voted. So we do know what to, at least from everything we learned. So I'm just gonna leave y'all with that word again. And if I have to get a t-shirt made and start wearing it, I'm gonna get it with this transparency. So that, we all do work together. Because it is a great town. Many of us have lived here 30+ years. So, and we're not going anywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Graham.
I agree with you about the lot. That's great.
Thank you very much. I think that's all we have. I think that's everybody we had signed up for public comment portion, which will move us into the staff reports. Mr. Bourne,
Thank you,
we'll,
Mayor.
we'll bother you again.
Well, I want to introduce Gary Corder again. Gary is our new Community Economic Development Director. Gary comes to us from Augusta County. He was their program manager for economic development and tourism in Augusta County. And he did a graduate assistantship that was completed with the city of Harrisonburg. He's local to the valley, currently residing in Grottoes. And we are excited to have Gary aboard. Brings with him lots of experience and knowledge about economic development.
I made it a point to say good morning to him this morning
Yes.
and congratulations again. Congratulations and welcome. We're glad to have you.
And then moving on in the report, of course, the HRSA board, HRPMO TAC, policy board meetings, all of those were I've attended. The Purple Park is official, as everyone has noticed. I'm glad.
Saw the sun?
So the sign is up, Sunset Park with Purple Park underneath. Let's see, we have upcoming events. We have Easter egg hunt on Saturday, April 19th, 10 a.m. at the Purple Park. Red Bud Festival, of course, is Saturday, April 26th, 10 to 4. Our summer concerts begin in May on the 17th with the first band, Little Walter and the Convictions. And if you haven't noticed, they are moving lots of dirt over there at the Dayton EMS station. The unveiling was on March 14th. They have signed unveiling. And just to give some community economic development, I'll just roll that in. There were 3 zoning permits issued and no chicken cooping.
No chicken.
And that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bourne. Mr. Trout, Police Department, Chief Trout. You answered my question earlier. I asked about applications, just slow going. Mr. Bowman.
I had mentioned a couple meetings ago that we would have a Dominion franchise coming before you. Just a reminder, that's going to come up at your next month's meeting. We will advertise that for a public hearing. Circulate a draft of that agreement in your packets. You already have an existing franchise with Dominion for electricity. So the difference here is that's going to be a renewal of that agreement that allows you to have electricity. And they're also going to add in the right for Dominion to put fiber optic cables on those poles so that they can transmit internet. And that's in connection with the All Points broadband internet program that Rockingham County and the other counties have funded. So that's going to come before you. There will be a process for a public hearing and for bids on that. It's been a while since we did that, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago on a franchise, but I'll provide some information and be here to make sure it goes smoothly. But I just wanted to put that on your radar, and if there are any questions about it, I can answer.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Mr. Dajak for finance.
Very good. Well, I wanted to thank everyone for coming out here tonight for budget forum and public hearing. And again, as thank you, Mr. Bourne. I don't think I can add anything more to that other than thank you to staff and Mr. Bourne, Ms. Hall, especially for putting this together, and the department heads for a very thorough process to get us a balanced budget that reflects a lot of our priorities. And but we'll be taking that in to all the comments tonight and from residents into consideration at upcoming meetings. So looking forward to that. I'll echo the sentiments, just if I may, to thank you, Mr. Porter, for welcome aboard. Very good. As you can see, we've got we got a lot to tackle and a lot to accomplish coming up, and we're excited for your experience and exuberance. So it's great. And I would also note, on a finance somewhat related end, just a reminder that this Wednesday is actually the Great Community Give for nonprofits. This has nothing to do with the town, except other than we have several, a number of very worthy nonprofit organizations, including several historic sites, museums, and community service providers that are going out every day and providing those services that our residents throughout Rockingham County and Harrisonburg deserve. So Great Community Give is online through the Community Foundation. So just encourage, if you're able to, even just a little bit, select the favorite charity or site of your choice, and there you go. Put a little money towards it. So, and again, look forward to see everyone in 2 weeks at Redbud. Date shines.
Absolutely.
If
Yep.
there's any Redbuds left.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Dajak. Ms. Mathias for personnel.
We did meet on March 27th, and it was to talk about the career development program that the police department has, and we just gave some feedback to the chief, which he presented at our work session today.
And very nicely done too. All right, thank you. Any other council members have comments? Any comments? We have, for unfinished business this evening, we have one item concerning the downtown master plan, which seems to be a pretty popular subject. And there's no staff report, but Mr. Dajak, give us a little bit of an update.
I mean, I would just say that appreciate everyone's input tonight as it relates to the downtown master plan. Again, this is a long time in the making. I think suffice to say, we've had additional feedback, and I think council consensus probably to look forward to table this for one more meeting while we work out a couple items. And I would just make a motion that we table it to the May meeting with the intent to have a resolution that amends and reflects the conceptual nature of the master plan, just like we talked about last time.
Yes, sir.
7 minutes unless we have a meeting to actually discuss it. You keep bringing it up every month, so I'd like to amend that motion to not have the one, we're gonna do it next month, because if y'all aren't having a meeting, we're not bringing it back up until we have a meeting. This is going 3 times a week.
Just to play parliamentarian, we have a motion and a request for amendment, but a motion to amend, I don't think is proper until a second. So you can agree to amend, or we can see if there's a second.
Yeah.
So
I'll just look for a second to that.
Are you making a motion?
Okay.
So Mr. Dajak,
Okay.
so and Mr. Hensley, second
Discussion.
that would, yeah. I guess we need a roll call.
All right,
Well,
we can do
I do
discussion,
think, to be
yeah.
fair to Ms. Estes,
Yeah,
she's
I
now
would like to, yeah.
moved to amend Mr. Dijak's
Yes,
motion.
okay.
And so now we should see if there's a second to Ms. Estes.
I just wanted them to where if we're not having a meeting, that's not brought back. Until we talk and meet about the subject, you need to quit bringing it up, trying to pass it. It's happened 3 times. Y'all can do what you want.
This is a council decision.
Just to try to characterize the motion, I think it's a motion to
Pick the month separation.
to put it perhaps on next month's work session for discussion instead of putting it on the regular meeting agenda.
And I'll second that one as well. We'll do next month as a work session.
So there's a second on the motion to amend, so I think now we're voting on whether the motion to amend carries.
Yes.
Can we
Any
have a
further
roll call
discussion?
vote on the motion
So we
to
have,
amend?
so we have a motion to amend
Need a roll call on the motion.
I think just for the sake of
Yeah.
for the,
clarity.
for the motion amend to put it on the workshop for next month.
Yes. There you go.
And Ms. Estes and Mr. Hensley as a second.
Okay.
So we need a roll call for that.
Okay. Ms. Pennell,
I,
Mr. Dijak,
Aye.
Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Ms. Matthias. Aye. Ms. Estes. Mr. Hensley,
Aye.
Mr. Sager.
Aye.
Well, I know this will seem redundant,
Mo-
but now that.
Now that the motion's been amended.
Now we're voting on the motion as amended, so
Yes,
we need another roll call vote.
Correct.
For the actual motion.
Right. So now the motion is stated is to have a work session at the May meeting.
Yeah,
Or table it until the May meeting with a work session. Okay.
Okay. Ms. Estes. Mr. Sager,
Aye.
Mr. Hensley,
Aye.
Ms. Matthias. Aye. Mayor Lee,
Aye.
Mr. Dijak,
Aye.
Ms. Pennell.
I,
So motion passes. Any other follow-up to that? Any new business to discuss tonight?
I have a question for Jennifer. I saw that, I think, was it Timberville that voted to pull the fluoride out of their water? Is this something that we need to be taking up and looking into and doing is? Were you at the same level as Timberville? You know, to just find out. No, whatever. Yeah. Okay.
We're usually about. At that level and everything, so that would be. Not necessary.
Thank you. I just wanted to take one. And I have another thing. Talk about downtown signs. For downtown shopping, Harrisonburg, I took a picture of it, but I got too many photos to find it. I'll do it for next time, but they have. It like coming into their four-way section into Harrisonburg. Is downtown Main Street shopping signs. So they do have signs, and then I forget where Jay found James White, saw one in another town, but I want to bring y'all pictures by the next meeting just to see which I think the house. Something like that.
Okay,
Maybe we can ask Cargill or something to step up.
good. Okay.
Right, get the sidewalk.
Yeah. Oh, boy. Any other, any other new business tonight? All right, at this time, we need to go into a closed session as authorized by Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A1 to discuss the assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of the town, and is authorized by Virginia Code Section 2.2-3711A8 for the consultation with legal counsel employed or by retained by the town regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by such counsel. The subject matter of the closed session is specific employees and public officers, the town related personnel matters. Need a motion.
Second. Not miss my voice.
I'm a smoke though.
Ms. Estes and Ms. Matthias. Any discussions? If not, we are officially in closed session.
Well,
Or should we take a 2-minute recess?
We got a motion in a second, but we don't have a vote.
And we need a,
Here, there's too many people talking.
Second gavel, say word.
We have a closed session motion.
we have a closed session motion. Well, we need all in favor. All in favor.
Bro, we need a roll call.
Yeah. We need a roll call.
We'll go ahead and do, is that right?
It's better to do a roll call. It's not a legal requirement. It's better.
That's fine. All right, Ms. Pennell? Aye. Ms. Estes? Mr. Sager?
Aye.
Ms. Matthias? Aye. Mr. Hensley?
Aye.
Mr. Dijak?
Aye.
Mayor Lee?
Aye. All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. We're in closed session. We'll drag our feet a little bit for.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
7:36, okay. 7:36.
At the, oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. 7:36. It's been 6 years since I've been to a closed session.
Yes.
Sorry for getting heavy handed with the part.
No.
No, I appreciate you.
Oh, that-
Well, it's needed. That's good.
Thank you.
Rolling.
Thank you
I
very much.
appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Council.
I do. Absolutely.
Think that it might get a little.
I don't care. Let's hear it. Yeah, I'm fine with him being fired.
Yeah, I just
I-
think it's.
I don't think it's gonna be expired.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Yeah. Reputation.
Yeah.
Okay, I just don't want.
I did. Thank you.
The work source facility, yes, so the.
So for. Huh?
That question, I'm sorry, were you asking me or was it the bears? Oh, okay.
So the Lord said, we don't check.
Right, currently, we're looking at FY 27.
Okay, that's right.
That's.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Right.
I trust your,
Land has been acquired.
I heard
And we will be ramping up to fund.
Okay.
For the capital project.
Okay.
Actually, in the FY 27, 28. If adopted. It's probably, you could ask, yeah, you could ask, yeah, that's what. Yeah, you'd be able to get. Yeah, I think you may have to wait till, yeah. Yeah, that's what, and I apologize for going into, yeah. All right.